pledge and a prayer.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, please help us to be strong leaders with integrity, reliability, and commitment to our community. Please help us to serve with sincere compassion, honesty, and grace. Please give us open eyes to see the needs of our city and open ears to hear perspectives that may differ from our own. Help us to always remember the needs of the few as we make decisions for the many. Thank you for this opportunity to serve the city of Falmouth. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. So we have a special meeting tonight because it's not our regular meeting night, so we have to stick to our agenda the way it's set. We are going to have, I know John Fields is here from the fire department. He's going to speak as a guest, and then all the other public speakers we're going to hold till the public comments because our treasurer is here to give a report, and then Brian Thompson has some stuff so that way they can get on out the door once they're done with their parts. So, John, if you want to step up and go ahead and give your department report. Or whatever. He came so you guys could ask any questions about the department report, and then he also came, I told him that you guys couldn't make a decision tonight. He wanted to give a consideration for an assistant chief position to be filled, and he wanted to kind of let us know who he was considering, who he'd like to be considered for that. And then, of course, you guys can't vote on that, so that's something you guys have a whole week to think about, and we can put it on the agenda for next week to discuss it, but he was gonna kind of more or less do that under the guest part.
And I also brought him with me just in case y'all had any questions for him. I gave y'all his resume of all the things he's done, all the things about him for the most part. I know y'all, hopefully, y'all got my council report, and if y'all had any questions on that, I was gonna gladly answer those real quick, but I just wanted to give my recommendation and see if y'all had any questions for the recommendation. That was the main thing.
And that's that letter you guys have in front of you guys, and then it looks
And
like
Kobe's back here in the back if
all
y'all
of
wish to
his.
speak with him.
Anybody else apply?
Nope.
We didn't, I don't think they really put it out for applications. I think it's more of the chief.
Assistant chief usually moves up within in any department. And it's you know, we can do it differently. I can put out applications if y'all would suggest. But assistant chief usually moves up within, and it's a lot easier. Kobe's been around for a while. I've taught him kind of what he needs to know to make it work. It'd be a big help to me because learning to be chief has been a real struggle, as Red probably understands that one. I mean, if we need to open up applications, we can. I mean, that's more or less up to you all. I told all the guys, and they were more than welcome to submit their resume or apply for any of it. And Kobe was the only one that stepped up, and I feel like he would be an appropriate candidate.
But as you know, I always do prefer open applications. So that's my thoughts on that. I did read the department report, and I saw the note about the command vehicle. I think it's a pretty good price, the $8,900 for a replacement. The only concern I have is because it's a ex-police vehicle. It's a low miles, but what's the engine hours? So something to be aware of there.
Right. I didn't actually look into that.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any other questions for John? All right, well, thank you.
Thank you all.
Now we're gonna move along to the acceptance of the minutes for the regular meeting for December 18th and the special meeting for December 18th.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes for the December 18th meeting and the special meeting on the 18th as well.
I just have one quick question about that. There's, two motions in here for the adjournment. It's not really a big deal.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I didn't know if you guys caught that or not. I mean, either way, I don't. I just, maybe if we can make a note of that.
Hold on, where are you talking about, which one? The
For
special?
the special meeting.
Yeah, there's legitimate special meeting, and then there's motion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing I've seen in there.
So, apart from that change, do we have a second on the motion?
Yes, that changed over.
All in favor?
Yep, yeah.
Okay, now we're gonna move on to old business with, Paul Maddox this year. Hold on to this light. Switch one to the better here.
It had tape on it.
Does that need to be plugged in or? There we go.
There we go, I'm coming.
Is it, can it see that, the camera? Oh. Are you able to move it a little bit, or?
Seeing it sideways isn't gonna help anything, but
Okay,
I can go over there if you want.
if you're able to.
Can't do anything.
How are you, Paul?
Quickly, the government financials and the utility financials, and then talk about some budget changes we need to look at. So this first page here are the expenditures for the first half of the year. It's the first column, July through December. You project those out, you get the projected column. The approved budgets, the third column there is what council approved for
Can you
this
guys keep
fiscal
the
year.
talking in the background to a minimum, cause it kinda carries over, sorry, go ahead.
And then the far column is what the projected over or under will be. So as of the first 6 months, at the rate we're going, the government expenditure is going to be over budget by $353,000 for the year. And we'll talk about more of that in a second. You come down here, and I throw the revenues in. So this was your approved revenue budget. That's how much we've collected so far. That's what I project we'll collect. So I think we're going to exceed the revenue budget by about $100,000, and that's mainly from the insurance tax, which is really out of your control. The insurance companies remit that money as people pay their policies, but that's the first half of the year was significantly higher than what we thought it would be. So if that continues, we'll be over budget by about $100,000 on the revenue. We're going to be $300,000 over on the expenditures, so we need to do something with that $246,000 left over after the revenue. Here's our bank balances right now. This 12/31/25 column is the current bank balances at U.S. Bank for the 6 accounts that make up the government side. So that's $1.1 million sitting on the government side. That's about, I guess, about 6 months worth of cash or so. So it's a decent amount that would carry you through for a while. It's not huge based on how big the city is. I just show you how much we're showing on the books because there's always outstanding checks. That's what this column down here is. And this just shows us what the cash was at the end of last month. This on the city side, on the government side, we currently have no debt. We paid off that Heritage Bank fire truck loan a couple months ago, so there's no debt on the books right now. And everything else after that is just the details that make up those front pages. Goes through revenues and expenses by the different funds that are in government, general road, LGA, ABC, etc. And then we go to just the general fund itself, and that's made up of government, police, fire, public works, and street and sidewalks. So every page just goes down further in detail, but those front pages are where the rubber meets the road. That's what we spent, that's what we're gonna collect. And we need to talk about what we're gonna do with the difference. So the approved budget was the number we looked at before, projected expenditures, and then the budget, and then what we're gonna need to do at some point. We currently need to be at $353,000 increase in the expenditures to cover that, because the city cannot spend money that has not been budgeted. So we need to do that. Where's that money gonna come from? That's the question. We're gonna be over in revenue by about 106,000, so that'll go towards that. We're gonna have to dip into the surpluses for 246 to make up the 353, right? Unless for some reason more revenue comes in, which I don't know where it would come from, but that's where we're at right now. We started the year with a $600,000 surplus, which is good, but we're gonna dip into that by 246 to make the current year budget, which will leave 362 for the fiscal year 26 budget as a surplus. So if we don't do anything, and we dip into the surplus again next year at the same rate, and that surplus is going to be getting close to zero.
This is
So-
this is how this whole thing kicked off. Was it wasn't this year's? It was by next year. I realized that we would have gone through all of our savings if we kept the budget the way it was.
Right.
Where would it? That's how. Yeah.
Right.
It's not. We can't do that.
So that'll be up to you guys to make those kind of decisions, how we're going to do that in the future year. When your options are, you know what they are: property tax rate increase. Nobody likes any of these options, but these are the options. Motor vehicle tax rate increase, insurance tax rate increase, look at an occupational tax on employee payroll, or expense reduction. I mean, that's the buckets of money that come into the city, and then you guys got to decide how you're going to spend it. So that's not a decision for tonight, but that's something that as a council, you guys need to start thinking about and start working on.
So we should have the 362 left over, hopefully in the surplus.
Right.
Because there's another, so if we were gonna look at investing, there was another, when I was up at an ad, at the Northern Kentucky ad, there was a gentleman, they were talking about investing money and how the return on investments, on these short investments, are pretty beneficial for these cities, and that, with their linked in with KLC, and they could kind of help us. So I was kind of hoping we could take a chunk of that money maybe, and we could have him come in and we could look at the options on investing some of that money, so we're not just leaving it in the bank, so maybe we can get a little bit of interest off of what we have in the surplus.
Right. There's a lot of cities that work with KLC on they call it an investment pool, and they have different options on their investment pool. You know, some are just like money market investment pools, some are more stock market investment pools. A lot of cities do that. They pull the money together from all the cities and invest it. With the money that we're sitting on the general fund or the government side, you guys could take a chunk of that and put it in like a money market investment pool with KLC. I don't know what the rates are, obviously, but if it earns 3 or 4% versus 0 sitting in our checking accounts, I think we're getting 1% in our savings account right now. That would generate some more money for the city.
Yeah, so I can get with them and schedule for them to come to a meeting here in the next month or whatever, so we can look at, now that we have an idea of what we
Right.
invest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
go
so we're
ahead.
okay right now. You guys just need to start thinking about fiscal year
Yeah.
26 and fiscal year 27, what we're going to do to keep the
We've gotta
city.
get the expenses down and the revenue up.
Yep, and keep the city in good financial shape.
And so some of this 353 deficit comes from where before we didn't actually fund from the general fund, really any of the public works or streets and sidewalks weren't being funded from the general fund. So that is where some of this is coming in from, is that we're asking basically to budget that.
Right. Yeah, some of that stuff was kind of covered under the utility fund before because employees were split jobs, but they were being paid 100% out of the utility fund. And we've kind of made that more structured and say this percentage goes here and this percentage goes there. And I know there's been talk you know, about reducing some of the utility fund things, you know, water or electric or whatever you guys decide to do, but if we end up doing things like that, then that's another reason why we gotta keep the government side solid on itself. If we don't have the utilities someday to rely on. I mean, the government side should be self-standing. You know, it should hold itself up, and the utility side should hold itself up. Let me jump to the utility side real quick here. Which utility side actually looks pretty good. So the very first part up there, the actual, and then it goes electric, water, sewer, garbage, and the clerks, the utility clerk's office. Revenue, expenditures, and profit, that's for the 6 months. So electric's had a profit of $288,000 through 6 months, pretty good number. And
That's what carries us.
That's carried the utility fund. Water's holding its own, had a small profit of $29,000. Sewer's killing us. So again, as you guys look forward, you need to look at the sewer rates. I mean, there's something that has to be done with the sewer rates. Because right now it's taking money from the city because it's losing money on us.
That's because of our loans, though, isn't it?
A part of it's part of the loans, yes. Yep. Yeah, the sewer's being charged with the principal and interest on the loan payments. Garbage kind of hold its own, and then the clerk's office gets miscellaneous revenue from fees and late payments, and any miscellaneous money would come in. So it's not really a profit producer, even though it shows us a little profit on there. So if we take these numbers up here and then just annualize them, so we double them because we're halfway through the year. You can see electric's going to be really high, sewer's going to be twice as bad, and we'll end up with a nice profit for the year, which far exceeds what we had budgeted for the year, because even though sewer's losing money, it's not losing as much as they budgeted to lose. Yeah, I don't think it's a great thing, but
In the water.
it's not losing as much as we thought, so it looks good versus the budget.
And they have been buying a lot of, I mean, like, to even be showing a profit, I mean, for a lot of the equipment that they've been replacing and some of the equipment, tools that they've been buying, like the valve exercisers and things like that, they're a little costly, and they just gotta ordered a lift for the vehicles, since they're doing all the fleet maintenance now, so they can change the oil. So some of these things, I mean, they're not huge expenses, but like they've been able to still kind of carry a profit. So we're doing really well in the utility side of things.
Yeah,
And
utility.
we'll be doing a lot better once Bob Miller comes in and we go over the rate proposals.
Here's the bank balances on the utility side and all of our different funds or accounts inside the utility. So it's $806,000 at the end of December, up $70,000 from the end of November. So if we go back to the KLC conversation, if we took some of those reserve monies and put them in a KLC investment, and like I said, get, I don't know, 3 or 4% versus no percent or 1%, it generates some money for the city. Same thing on the general fund side, take that LGEA money that's there, invest that a little bit better.
And then now that we're out of the garbage, like our garbage reserve, where does that stay there until, like, what happens with?
No, council can decide what they want to do with that garbage reserve. So it's on the utility fund, that's where it's always been in the city, but garbage can also be a city function. A lot of cities don't have utilities, but they provide garbage service, so it can be on the city side. So as a council, if you want to, unless Steve tells me different, you guys could move that money from utility side back to the government side. Or you can just leave it in the utility side and put it in a different reserve account. That's the big decision you guys have to make.
I think we should really hold off and leave it in the utilities until we get some other repairs and things done, because there's a lot of, we have a lot of work coming up in the infrastructure side of the utilities that has to get done.
The meter deposit money, just so everybody knows, that's the money that people have paid on their meters that we deposited in there. So it's city money, but it's not really your money. It's going to go back to them as they, cancel their service and move on, and somebody else will pay us. So the kind of money just kind of washes through there. Here are the loan balances that Joyce made the point about. $2.6 million still of loans outstanding from KIA and USDA.
And that's only on this, that's all sewer.
It's all sewer related, yep. The next loan payments are gonna be January, so it's gonna happen this month, in May, and that's the amount of the loan payments. So in the next 6 month period, around $156,000 go out for principal and interest loan payments on those. That'll knock the principal down, and then the next payments will come up. Those are paid twice a year. one payment is usually interest only, and the second payment's interest and principal on the bonds. And then it's the same thing. This just goes through the detail of all the numbers. So if you guys have that package, or I don't know if they sent it to you yet or not, but
Did I not forward you guys? I thought he had sent it to everybody. I will forward you the email so you guys, or I can print a copy for whoever wants a copy of this before we leave tonight. So I know some.
yeah, they're each about 30 pages.
Yeah.
So this keeps going down in detail,
Yeah.
and shows you exactly where everything was spent at. So. Again, like I said, the last time I was here a couple months ago, our goal is just to provide you guys with timely, accurate information on what you make the decisions.
Curious, you know what the maturity date is on the loans? It looks
Um,
like it's gonna be quite out there. It's only twice a year.
yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head, but
Yeah.
I can look it up pretty quick for you. I can look it up when I get done. I'll go sit down and look it up for you.
That's
I'll get back up there. Yeah, some of those bonds were 30-year bonds, and if we're
Yeah.
only 5 years into it, yeah, we got a while.
Yeah, because I think the lagoon or the retention basin, didn't they take out a loan for the retention basin when they put that in? I think so. I think that's one of the ones. Yeah,
I don't remember.
I think that's the most recent one at least. So that's gonna, I think, have a while on it. You guys have any questions or? Because we're doing the action here. Okay, so next on the agenda is Andy Turner from the Wesleyan Church, and Brian Thompson is also around here somewhere as well. I don't know who wants to start. Brian, do you want to start first, or does the church? Everybody want to come up and?
I'm representing New Life. I'm making the drawings for permit purposes, construction purposes. We're funded. We need a real parking lot that's safe, clean, looks good, and the library also uses the parking lot. So in doing so, I need the perimeters. Current ordinance would put the edge of our parking lot 22 feet from Monument Street, which gives up a lot of real estate that we could use. I would like to extend that to 6 feet from.
Gravel grass parking lot out there and everything. Obviously, this would be a welcome addition to the property, the surrounding property. It would look really nice and everything. We'd like to accommodate, anything the church would like to do, but there are a couple of issues. And while we're discussing, we actually have several issues. Some would lie on the city's end, some would lie on planning and zoning end, which is a city ordinance, but you have boards in place to take care of that. So as we discussed, there's a couple of things here which Mr. Turner gave me this plan, and I don't know if we don't have a little clicker or anything, but maybe I can point without into that part of the screen here. Right here is the 5 foot right-of-way line proposed by zoning, which I believe the council has hard copies of this. And you can see there's, I believe it's 6 feet to the edge of the pavement out here on Monument Street. So Mr. Turner is asking to go within 15 feet, which is 5 feet from the property line, which is zoning ordinance requirements, is what the parking lot has to be out of. So they'd like to get into that, plus an additional 11 feet or so into the city right of way, because the property line stops right here at the 5 foot mark. So zoning requires to be 5 feet from the property line back with the front parking lot, but he'd like to get that, encroach into that. See, that's a zoning issue, so that's where we request a variance to the zoning board of adjustment. But he would like to go an additional 11 feet into the city right of way. So that's why he's here tonight. Turner had a survey done. We went out and took a look at it, had staked. It is a 50 foot right of way that the city has on the books. So that's city property that he'd asked to pave into. So that would require some type of encroachment permit or permission from the city in order for them to do that. Saying that though, that would still require a variance from zoning because we would still be encroaching into that 5 feet. So, but But the matter coming in front of the city tonight was the additional footage into the city property, and if the city could allow the church to pay into that, so.
And note that utilities are behind the church, so there's no water or sewer out at the road.
And there's no sidewalk or anything over
Nope.
there currently
No,
right
that
now
would-
either.
That would give us a 6 foot, swell, grassy place for, water to travel and collect and whatnot.
I'm guessing there's still a decent amount of space between the road and where it would end.
Well, yeah, well, they haven't laid out there.
There was a
Gonna be 6 feet if you allow the pavement to where they would, well, ask for it to be. You'd have 6 feet from the existing street to what would be the blacktop of the church at that point, so.
which would mean going forward, there wouldn't be room then for a sidewalk or any improvements to the road long term. Is that right, or is there still room for?
You would have 6 feet.
Yeah, I mean, traditional, it could be 4 to 5 feet for sidewalks and curb, but, any type of infrastructure that's required in the right of way from the city point of view, as far as any future improvements on storm sewer, sanitary sewer, anything like that, that may be encroaching into at that point. So that's something that, if you did do some kind of agreement, that would be something to definitely consider as far as who's liable for what and what costs are incurred. If you're allowing something to encroach into the city right away, if you do any future improvements, who's gonna bear that? So.
Cause we did look at the ordinances we kinda have on the book now, and there's one, it's not really an encroachment,
We have a public street, chapter 91,
That is-
me and the mayor looked at,
from a long, what was it, like
1959.
Yeah. And so that's the other thing, we really don't have an updated and clear path on the books to accomplish this, so I really feel like we need to look at that, because there's a lot of the meats and bolts are there, so there are some restrictions, and it talks about some permit things, but then it talks about a committee, of course, that doesn't exist, and different things, so I don't feel like relying on what's currently on our ordinance books would be the best of ideas without letting Steve really look at what's currently on the books, because when we do our ordinance change we need to update that ordinance and another one. But I'm not sure how all this works when you talk about essentially letting somebody use the city's property and not having all the black and white there in the ordinance, so I don't know.
Well, we can do it as long as taxpayer dollars don't go towards any improvements.
No, this is, we're
Yeah,
funded,
yeah.
we're funded for it, it's just I need the perimeters. What happens is, per the ordinance, when you keep it back 22 feet, it limits our parking ability in front of the church because of the required parking space and the required aisleway, so it knocks out a bunch of parking places.
Let's see. Do you have a measurement on that?
That
Mr.
I
Kearns?
do not.
Let me see what do we have here. See if I have anything. I don't know if I do or not.
You can,
either.
you might get one kind of close on maps, but obviously the more room, the better. People aren't.
So what I have off of maps, and this isn't 100% accurate,
Right,
but it's
okay.
something to consider, is we have about 67 feet inside the church. That's going down the
Sure.
side.
What about
there.
the porch though? See how the porch?
Yeah, the porch, that would come in more, but the zoning ordinance requires, if you have parking, in theory, this is considered a variance. You have 20 feet of 90-degree parking, you need 22 feet of aisle in between. So if you had 20, and 22, be 62 feet, and you have 67 feet across there. So, you're talking about ducking in, you wouldn't have spots here, but you wouldn't have spots there anyway, being the pull-up. So I think you can still cram it in there according to what, maybe then still have a few feet left over. In theory, it's 62 feet, including 5 foot setback, you got it without needing a variance. So that's kind of, I'll give you double rows across the front parking, and you're not gonna park in the front door anyway, so, you know, so you might be okay anyway, you know, but then again, that's not a perfect, it's not a perfect survey, obviously, that's just an informational system that we have available to us that has a humongous disclaimer that that's not perfect, so. But it's something that we can obviously work with you on. I mean, you might be able to do what you want to do anyway. I don't want you to have to jump through a bunch of hoops. that you
No,
don't need to,
I wanna go through the proper channels.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's, you know, 22 feet's a lot of just grass to give up, you know, the more room, the safer it is for people to.
No, it is, but like not long ago though, they were talking about connecting that street over behind that dollar store, cause we're looking at like, the land's still for sale, it's still developable. I'm worried, like what if we do develop over there, what if there's more traffic, what if they wanna put a sidewalk in, cause they're putting all that in on the Cleeway, and initially it wasn't, like Head Start was gonna connect that road back there and build that road out, and connect behind the dollar store. And so if you're gonna have this new, and let's say eventually let this happen, if somebody else goes into that back area, if they connect on that road and you've got all this new development going in with all these sidewalks, and when we get to Monument Street, it just stops. Because now, like that is my only, that would be, I mean, I don't see much, I mean, we're not busting at the seams in development, but like that is a potential area that just, in the last 2 years, they were talking about finishing the road and finishing out the development. And we've required Head Start, didn't they put sidewalks on both sides of the street?
Yeah, it's a good point because the future land use maps.
It's supposed to have sidewalks on both sides.
Not to point out we got a planning commissioner in the room,
Yeah.
but I mean, you know, that's out of flood zone, that is set up more to allow future commercial area growth, and it's kind of starting to look that way. And Clee Street, you know, it's a brand new street in town, it's got a 50-foot right of way for dual sidewalks, curbs, storm sewer, water on one side, sewer on the other, you know, separation utilities, all that good stuff. You got a new library in that end of the block, you got new development on the other end, that's a natural tie-in eventually. Now, that could be 50 years from now, but that's why you plan ahead, you
Well,
know.
I mean, Head
so-
Start was gonna do it just when they were gonna take that back lot. I thought that was their plan, is they were gonna finish out the whole street and connect Monument to Cleeway back there. They were gonna put the Head Start back there, but then the purchase of that actual property that they wanted behind the dollar store fell through, so they didn't, that's why they're not actually finishing that road and putting that in. But we required them to put the sidewalk on Cleeway on both sides of the street, so my guess would be any new development, if it rounds out the back of the dollar store, they're gonna continue to require the sidewalks on both sides. But,
Maybe consider putting parking on the side?
Well, we have future plans of parsonage on one side and the fellowship hall on this side,
but it's two separate issues though, right? It's 5 feet that they could do on the variance part of, and then, so like we could still do the 5 feet on the variance through the planning and zoning, is that right? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah,
And then,
yeah.
And then not give them the right of way, like he could still go that route, and if he got the 5 feet in the variance, would that give him your numbers that you had on there, did that include that 5 feet addition or not?
No, I mean, the 68 feet, like I said, that was, he needs 62 feet. So with the additional 5 feet, that's 67 feet, so yeah, so I mean, that will give you, from the recessed portion of the building to the street, that will give you what he needs without even getting a variance, but, you know.
But the variance would give him the 5 feet just to
Variance
go
give him
in
additional.
that part.
Yeah, additional 5 feet, yeah, and that's something that I mean, with a 50-foot right of way, I mean, I can't speak for the board because they have to look at things on an individual basis, but I would be writing the staff report, and that's something that, the consideration of a 50-foot right of way, you know, being that's as wide as you normally get, especially on a city street, that's gonna give us plenty of room. That's definitely favorable, you know, for something like that, you know, allowing a little extra space because we've already got it there, you know. So.
What did you want to add something? I'm sorry.
so can we split the difference? If we can't get the full 11 feet, could we, you know, go 5 or 6 past perhaps, give us that little bit more to, and then how do we move forward from tonight?
How many parking spots are you like aiming for? And
Around 40, which this will get us close to that. If
So-
we go from one side to the other, basically from, property line to property line.
So you want 5 feet and then another 11 feet,
Right, that's what we're looking,
so 16
Ultimately,
feet
looking-
altogether.
yes.
So splitting that in half would be about 8 feet, so it'd be 3 feet into the.
I meant split your half.
Oh, so take
take
the
the
5
5
and then
take the
split
5 we've
that,
already
split
given,
that, split
we'll
the,
split your
split the
part.
rest. Well, man, I mean, we might get a whole bunch of people in here asking us to start splitting our right of ways. Yeah, I don't know what the process is or how,
Yep.
and I think that, is this take a vote from council?
It would take a vote from council.
So I don't get a vote, so you're gonna have to ask. I don't get a vote, so.
Okay.
I have another question, since there's no storm sewer over there, is there? Well, where's the water gonna go
Ooh.
that comes off of this?
Well, yeah, you can sheet drain, but see, that is, there is a section of the zoning ordinance that shows how you have to design that parking lot. If you get over a half acre of impervious, you do have to calculate some sort of, what's called retention basin or whatever, which, what we do is if it gets over, which it very well could, I don't know, a half acre is not a lot, but if you get over a half acre of impervious surface, you're supposed to get together a plan showing us where the stormwater is going to go. So typically what people do is they either do catch basins in the parking lot or they just grade to one side and they have a little, for a small parking lot, probably an area from here to there of riprap, and it just flows in there and channels out. So it just slows down the runoff.
The lower side of the church is, that part of the lot is low anyway. So probably the bottom half of what you're looking would dump into the yard, right there. And then part of the top part would dump on the top side and moving to the back side of the church, which is the lower portion of the space.
Yeah, if it's contained on the property, that's fine. But yeah, if it goes off property, so stormwater development that causes more stormwater than that's there naturally is responsibility of the property owner at that point. So that would be something, we just have to see how big the parking lot is. If it's over a half acre, we just need a report. Generally, they typically just call the local, local Williamstown, like engineer or whatever, over there, and they just take a look at what's there natural versus what's going to be paved, and they actually will just draw a plan and they'll grade the parking lot in a way that it shows arrows, just where the water's going.
I can
So,
include that.
yeah. Okay, and then
That's not a problem.
if it's over a half acre, you just want to, you'll have to show how big the riprap area has to be to catch the water. And then it just naturally goes in the ground you don't even have to have that. There's different ways to accomplish that. You can sheet drain it on your property, but it just can't go on. It can't go onto the house next door because you're creating a new tremendous area of hard surface that could flood them out. So that's the only thing.
Sure, but the hard surface is a state requirement.
Yeah. So yes, it's all. So we got all that on our end. I guess you can wrap that up.
Okay.
So. Well, if you have any questions, I guess, but I guess I'll be done here.
We're not holiday. You guys have questions? Because thoughts?
I will say that, the fact being that there's no utilities on that side of the road, it does work in their favor. But to Brian's point, how much parking can you fit in what they can get, with the 5 feet with the variance without us having to jump through a bunch of hoops and all that. Not only that, but if space is an issue, or space is an issue, it's you don't want people crammed in too tightly and causing safety issues instead of having straight parking spaces, what if they're, you know, diagonal a little bit, that way it makes getting in and out easier and a little bit safer in that aspect, but that may take off a couple spaces, but I'm not sure how many spaces can fit in a, what they're already dealing with, if it can fit 40 or 50 or, I'm not sure.
I think the bigger question is this a path you guys want to explore? I mean, we need to look at the ordinance, I don't know how quick we'd get down the path, essentially. I don't think we'd be able to come back next week with the whole clear direction. I don't know how quick did you guys need an answer?
Pretty quick, cause I need to get drawings for the permit, of course, and then once the final drawing is approved, we can move forward with getting bids, but, and everything from contractors, so spring will be here quick enough, The faster I get a drawing and a permit to you, the faster you can review it, approve it, and all that good stuff, so.
First of February?
I mean, so I could have Steve could look over the ordinance, we can kind of look at, if you guys even want to do that. I don't know if you guys want to do that. I mean, if you guys.
Push comes to shove, I don't really have a problem with having them encroach myself. Just as I think it was alluded to earlier, just be very clear as to who is responsible for what, because it's like, just because it's on a property, if it's,
Yeah, we
if
don't
it's-
have to
yeah,
maintain it.
like,
If we
yeah,
end
we
up
aren't-
putting in infrastructure and over there, then, I mean, there is the possibility if we do put storm drains on that road at some point in time, we would tear up their parking lot. Like, we don't wanna have to pay to
Yeah,
repave the parking
exactly.
lot essentially because they're in the, so yeah, we'd have to look it up. So we can have Stephen, we can look over the ordinance, I guess, and then come back and with some suggestions on what's in the ordinance or kind of some things at the next meeting.
I can do my best to figure it out by the next meeting, which shouldn't be a problem, and then hopefully we have a full resolution by the February 5th meeting.
If that's what you guys wanna do.
That's
Okay,
fine.
so we'll let Steve look into it, come back with a path forward if you guys what that might look like at the next meeting. If you guys wanna pursue that one. Is that fair? Okay. Well, thank you.
Anthony, your loan question, the
yeah.
KIA loans, which are the first three, are basically 5 years.
Okay.
And the two USDA ones are like 30 more years.
Okay.
So, 2 batches in there.
Is it 31 year?
Pardon me?
31 year?
30 more years.
Oh, 30 more years, okay, yeah.
And the KA is five, you said.
Roughly, yeah, they're all different things, but KIA is basically done 5 and the other ones are 30. You'll be here long after we're done.
Hey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we're gonna move on to this policy change. So as you guys are aware, we have no parental leave time in our current policy for moms and dads. We do have short-term disability and like as a paid maternity leave for females, but or for moms, but we don't actually have any kind of paid time off for new parents. So that was one thing that KLC had suggested to put in. Our problem is we've got babies being born now. We can't backdate this because I've already asked Michael from KLC. We can't backdate it. So the best we can do is put it in place now. This would, any baby going forward would give the mom and dad paid time off.
Even if they're on it now, it still doesn't apply. They're on maternity leave now.
Yep, nope, can't backdate the policy. It would only apply going forward. So, I left how many weeks blank on, the leave, if you guys wanna, yeah.
So how do you see it working out with, you said you currently have short-term disability, it's like essentially.
Oh, that's, and it's completely different, that's just for the mom. This would be
Yeah.
for the dad too, so like.
Yeah, what I'm saying is like, so for the mom, like how much time do they have for short-term disability?
They're on disability until the doctor clears them to come back to work. So, but this is essentially time, then they can take it, it's not like they don't have to take it all, like they don't take like that whole week at a time. The KLC guy said that they can use that, basically they get like, you can do a week or 2 weeks, and then they can use that within the first year or something. You could put that in there where, like for baby checkups and things, because a lot of times with moms on maternity leave doing the short-term disability option, like they'll use their time too, because you're essentially given, like Megan's taking off more than just what a normal, like 6 to 8 weeks, she's taking off the full 12 of FLMA, so she's having to use her vacation time and things like that, so then she's gonna come back with a new baby and have burned through all her time for the year. So this would help. And then it gives dads an option to take some time off when they get a new baby too. Most employers have some type of
Yeah,
paid.
but it's not
Correct.
required because, you know, the United States is not very progressive in that sense.
Oh, I know. With one of my children, I took 3 weeks off because I had no paid maternity leave. And that is, you know, like, when we're in a situation that we could do better, I think we should be offering our employees better, at least a standard of some type of paid leave for a new parent. I mean, it'd be awful for a dad to come in and essentially not have time off and he's got a baby that's being born and they're taking unpaid time off. I'm just saying, because it's not like we have a lot of female workers, so not that I think we're gonna be popping out a lot
This
of
is
babies
what
anyways.
a question I have. What does the state statute say about this? Because if you run into because we don't have that many employees anyway, what happens if there's two guys that have to have this
What do you mean?
at the same time? I mean, it's gonna shorten your workforce out.
What are you saying? It's like,
I get that, but I mean, essentially, it's not gonna matter what the workforce is, they're gonna take the, I don't know many guys that are gonna tell us, I think they're just gonna not come to work and not get paid. I don't think any man's gonna miss the birth of his child to come work
Well, and I
a
understand
utility
that,
shift here.
but I mean, taking how many weeks off?
Well, no, that would be up to you guys, if you guys wanna give them 1 week off, 2 weeks off, that would be up to you guys. I mean, some employers offer a lot more, I don't think we should be exceeding, you know, like into weeks and weeks, but I think at least a week, maybe 2 weeks, something for a
Yeah, I
nice
can
start
see
for a
that.
like a parental leave.
So I guess my question would be, so is this geared, I know we don't have a lot of women working for us, so is this?
No, it's for men and women.
Mainly, but is it geared mainly toward the men and the women would still do their short-term disability or?
They get both.
Or so they would get both of them?
Yeah, because you're short term, so essentially like if a
Yeah.
mom, like if you go to take short term, you're only on disability until your doctor clears you to come back to work.
Yeah.
Whether that be 6 weeks, whether that be 8 weeks, whatever their personal situation is.
Yeah.
But this would then give the mom time to take off for new baby appointments, take off an extra week if she
Yeah.
wanted to. I mean, like,
So, so could this be used in addition, like say your doctor has you out for 4 weeks, let's say, and then we offer 2 weeks, so could they essentially use this on top of their 4 weeks? Or
I don't think they do.
would it just be in conjunction with those 4 weeks?
I don't know if they can supplement, because they don't get full pay on their short-term disability, and I don't know what
Yeah,
the percentage is and how that works. I don't know enough of those details what their current policy is, but this is something separate, and I don't know if they let them. My employer, you had to use a week of PTO before you could take start your short-term disability, essentially is how mine worked. I don't know what our requirements are. But this is something just completely different, because that was my first question, I'm not gonna lie, when he first brought it up, like, when we sat down with Michael and talked to him about these policy changes, and he brought it up, I'm like, well, they get short-term disability, and he was like, you really aren't gonna give a parent, like, a day or 2 or a week off, 2 weeks off to have a baby, and I'm like, okay, well, you know, I guess. So I got it, but I think that, I'll be honest, things now, there seems to be a much better acceptance of parents taking off a week when they have a new baby at home.
Yeah.
And I think maybe we should jump on the bandwagon with the rest of America and maybe offer our people like just some time. Because
Yeah.
Christian didn't have paid time off when I had Grace 6 years ago when he worked here.
No, I'm not opposed to it at all. I was just wondering how it would work in conjunction with short-term for the women working for us.
So like, my guess is it would allow them to then, if they wanna take the additional time off under the FLMA that they're protected to, now they'll have paid time off instead of just, cause once their doctor clears them, they're still allowed to stay out on FLMA, but they're not getting short-term disability benefits anymore, cause they've been medically cleared to return to work. That's what short-term disability is for. It's not like 6 weeks of paid maternity leave. It's you're on leave until the doctor clears you to go back, which essentially normally is 6 to 8 weeks, depending on what kind of birthing experience you have. But this would be something totally different.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, they could use it and stay out longer, or
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know how that would affect their short term if it did at all.
no, because they like have vacation time and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I know they don't get 100% pay, and I don't know how that.
Okay.
But I am gonna try and get you guys and press you guys to vote on this tonight, because we have a baby taken away. Not having, I don't think it's coming today, but it might be here before next week. We had one born. You guys saw that, the St. Elizabeth baby, the first baby of the St.
Yes,
Elizabeth New Year was one of our very,
They brought him in the office here.
yeah, one of our very finest. So, and then of course Megan's out on maternity leave, so I don't wanna, we've missed it, but I don't wanna keep missing. I don't think we have any more babies coming, but you know.
Given that it would be in supplement to short-term disability and possibly their own PTO, the only thing is I won't wanna force a new parent to not have PTO either. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wouldn't be like you're on the hook for it and,
They don't get PTO, they get sick time and vacation time.
oh, like PTO, I gotta just
Yeah.
lump it all in the same.
They
bucket
don't
there.
hear, they get different.
But anyway, part of me wants to start with 2 weeks, but there's another part that wants to say upwards of 4. But I don't know what everyone else thinks about that.
Oh, I was hoping at least for a week, I'm not even gonna lie, I think 4 would be a little extreme, I love my
I'd say-
employees
I'm a little
too,
bit
but
more.
I kinda need them here working, I don't know if I can afford to give somebody another month off.
I'd say a week. You know.
I would say at least a
I was
week.
leaning more towards 2 to be honest.
That's, I was hoping at least a week at this kinda.
Because I know, especially after you got a child born, like I said, there's all those appointments, and usually it's like the first 2 weeks is usually when they try and get all like you're setting up with the pediatrician and doing all this and that. So I think 2 weeks is pretty reasonable.
Man, have times changed, you know? All these men just wanting to be there to support these women having these babies, it's so nice.
We had triplets on a Thursday, and Sean went back to work on a Monday, so.
So Amanda's like, I wish I had something like this, would have been, yeah, see,
So,
yeah, 100%, 100%.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You're better off.
Better off with that.
Christian had to go down to training, like when Grace was a couple days old.
I mean, those things are.
Yeah, but. So what do y'all wanna do? 1 week, 2 weeks?
You want me to give this thing a
Oh
reading?
yeah, you have to read this, I'm sorry, go ahead.
This is a municipal order for the city of Falmouth, order number 1.8.26. 1, a municipal order approving the changes to the personnel policy, adding pregnancy and paternal leave. The proposed changes attached, and that's what we've been discussing.
And I just included the whole policy that KLC had written, but that's pretty much just the change is adding this paid leave.
But yeah, I'm good with 2. I mean, obviously go with change later if we want to. The other thing, speaking of changing later, I didn't see mention of it. I've seen some places they also allow for this to apply to adoption as well.
There is
So if
a
you adopt-
separate policy underneath this, and in our policy, I think already is in place, it says that anything with adoption goes to.
Yeah, the policy at number 1 does say newborn child or newly adopted or placed foster child.
And there is a whole other section that comes after this, but I mean,
Guys, yeah.
I was just trying to stick it with just the one section, but there is a whole adoption section that comes after this.
Yeah.
And he's hoping to have this policy book, another draft to us in the next few weeks, but I figured we didn't have any more time to wait with this one, so.
Alright, I mean, I'll make a motion to accept this, municipal order, with 2 weeks of paid leave.
I'll second.
Everybody in favor?
How does that affect the budget? 2 weeks for every employee?
No, it's
That's
just
it?
it's just for somebody having a baby, and they're gonna either be
I mean,
paid to be.
everybody's capable of having a baby.
But then, so they're either gonna get paid to be here working, or we're gonna pay them and they're just gonna be at home, but either way, they'd be getting paid essentially, we're just gonna be a little behind on work.
I understand that, but how it's gonna reflect to the budget, which we were just talking about.
They're gonna,
And
they would,
that's-
with
that's
their,
2
There
weeks.
they're
would
funded
be, there would
either
be no
way.
impact
Yeah.
on the
It's
budget.
not part of our budget.
They're budgeted for 52 weeks out of the year, and so whether they're working those 52 weeks or not,
Okay,
there would be no. You're not going to add weeks on at the end.
okay. I
Yeah,
got you.
it's not
Yeah.
like they're gonna get paid out for it if they don't take it.
Yeah, no, this is just the benefit, and and I believe it said they'd use it within 1 year or whatever, if that's not in this part, that's in the other part of the policy, but they were talking.
No, they've got to take it. I mean, it's immediate. I don't see it. I didn't see a 6-month window for them to take it.
Okay,
It's
Either way,
it's
they
to be
must have
it's
the
to be
document.
scheduled. If it can't be scheduled, it hopes for a 30-day notice. But
okay,
if you can't do a 30-day notice,
Gotcha.
that's okay.
okay. And there we go. But yeah, either way, they're budgeted to be paid for the year, whether they're actually physically working or sitting at home, we budgeted for them for the year, so. So, let's do a roll call on the vote. Joyce?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yeah.
Anthony?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. We did not have a committee meeting tonight because it was a special meeting. Council comments?
I'm good.
Public comments? Does anybody want to speak or have a comment? Sure, come on up here.
All right, thank you.
Can we get your name?
Well, I think everybody knows me.
Well, I know, but just so we
All right, my
have it.
name is James Edward Taylor, Falmouth, Kentucky. And the reason I'm here is the Falmouth Fire Department 1 week ago pulled all my gear off of my locker in the Falmouth firehouse. Nobody has notified me what's going on or nothing. I've been there for 48 years, belong to the Falmouth County Fire Department and all over the whole area. I have no what's going on. Fire chief has done it, or his representative. I don't know what's going on, and the reason is, I don't know. So I'm turning in paper from the mayor and the fire chief, and the fire chief is not here. I got personal items there that was hanging up in my locker. I do not know where it is, and nobody is contacted. I do want it back, or I want the law enforcement to go with me to get it back from the fire chief. I will not turn the key in unless you all accept my resignation. I am turning the resignation in to the mayor and the fire chief since he's not here. So I don't want to break no rules and regulations, but I want to know what's going on. Nobody has told me
I
that.
can try and find out. Was it Gary Lucas was in here that one night and was going on? I thought that he said that him and you were both retiring. Wasn't he?
He did.
No,
He-
Gary.
but
Gary.
No, I know Gary came in and retired,
Yes.
but he said who was the other gentleman who said they were both retiring?
I think he said he might later, but I don't think he
Okay, I didn't know. I was trying to remember. I didn't remember for sure what. I have no idea. I can find out though. After the meeting, I can call John. I'll call John Fields and find out where
no
our
way to
stuff
do
is.
you.
But
Do what,
I said,
man?
that's no way to do you.
are you still? Are you on there?
No, it ain't, because I had my key. I'll go up there every time we get a call as I possibly can. Of course, I belong to Search and Rescue and the new Pendleton County. And I've always anticipated, I've always go up there, clean trash up in the building, clean the building up, do things wherever they want. What's going on when there's nobody around? I'm usually the only one that ever showed up in months to do anything around there. And then when they started changing all this administration, new representatives took over, they started weeding everybody out that belonged. Very few has belonged to that department in the last 2 years but me. And there's no reason for it, because they're all got who they want and who they picked on the other fire chiefs and all. And when he was in there, he interrupted everything. And I'm gonna come right out and say it, he did. He messed anybody that was there, that belonged for quite a few years. He'd make sure that they do something wrong to get kicked out of there. And I'm not mentioning no names, that way I'm not
You talking about
criminating
a
no
previous
particular
fire
party.
chief? Is that what you're talking about?
Ma'am?
You talking about a previous fire chief when
Yes,
the
sir, that's been
administration
the
first
last
got-
couple
okay.
of years
Okay,
that's
I
really
got you.
uproared the firehouse,
I got you.
and I think that's wrong. You
There's
all
been a lot of
know, if
uproar
I've been
over
on
there
this
for
many
years.
years, and my dad's been a fire chief, and other chiefs has been behind him, everything was going along good. And then just all at once, when he got in there,
I don't
Thank-
know, because I've heard about the Harts, I've heard about the Pettits, I've heard about.
I tell you about
my
it, ma'am.
understanding is these fire
I've been
things
here a
have
long
gone on
time.
for decades, but.
and I've never seen this in every fire chief that we've been in this city, we've ever had that problem. I mean, I know they're passed away and everything else, but all the way back.
They
You
didn't
know,
have
I'm not
problems?
gonna take it up for my dad, I'm not taking it up for Melvin Hart, I'm not taking it up for any of the Harts, I'm not taking it up for nobody. But nothing like that has happened. I've seen it, I've been there. I kept my nose clean, didn't do anything, and anything they asked me to do, I was there to do it. Now, I got this letter for you, and one for the fire chief. Since he left and didn't stay here, I guess he knew there was something going on, and he's the one presenting it. Can I present this to you?
Yes, I'll take
Thank
that, yes. And I will call him after the meeting and
Okay.
find out where your stuff is at.
That was for the fire chief, and this is for you. This is the key of the firehouse, and see that I am turning it in.
And you
So
want
I've
your
got
stuff
nothing
back. Yes.
belongs to them, but they got my personal stuff, and if I don't get it back, I will go to law enforcement and go over and get it. All right? So I got.
I don't think it's gonna come, I don't think we need to.
Okay,
I'll
that's all I
call
got to
Jo-
say.
I'll call
Thank
John
you all.
and get it worked
Thank
out.
you.
Sorry.
Any other public comments?
Okay, does anybody else want to speak?
Before Mr. Moreland takes the floor?
Yeah, I guess I'll try. Halfway organized. That's you. Everything in there, I didn't have enough, make
I don't
copies
think-
for
I'll
everybody.
make copies for them.
Pass those around if you would. That's the chair, that one. Mayor, councilmen and women, I'm gonna try it one more time. This will be my vision number 3 talk, so to speak. And before I really get into it, I got one suggestion. this goes back to last meeting, the lady that was here was complaining about the house on 4th Street. I would, going to lead up to this, everything I say is my opinion, debatable. If anybody wants to stop and ask me anything, or tell me they don't like what I say, feel free to do so. But when she was here, of course I'm a little hard-headed, and my suggestion is that anybody wants to come, make a complaint, that you have a form available. They put their name, address, phone number on it, you sign it, and write what their complaint is, and then come to the meeting, present it to the mayor, and then at the bottom, there'll be how it was resolved. You know, whether there's nothing done, or you promised to do this, you put it on paper, and you keep those on file in the office. I mean, it's all I can remember, we didn't give her any kind of solution last time about that old house.
Well, we're in a current litigation, I'm trying to
Yeah, well,
secure
that old house
that.
it belongs to is still in a trust for Mrs. Tolly White Hyatt. Would be 100 years old now, but it's still in her mother's
Oh, I know,
trust.
I know,
And
and
of
the
course,
master
there's about 10
commissioner
kids involved in it.
Mm.
But I was wondering, has the taxes been paid on it? If the taxes hadn't been for a certain time, anybody can take it over. I don't know whether
we are currently litigating a foreclosure action on that property
Okay.
that we have a judgment on, and we are trying to, this is all public record, so we are trying to, at this point, suffice the requirements of the master commissioner so we can see if he'll auction it. But we have a judgment, but that's as far as we've gotten so far in that legal process, because when you're trying to go after a bunch of heirs and dead heirs and dead heirs and things that have sat,
nothing simple, I understand.
no, it's not. So we are currently in litigation trying to resolve that.
Well, I want to start off saying what this town has become today is not any of y'all's fault. This goes back, I've been thinking about it every time since you said something about you didn't have a vision when you first got that
I've
office.
got one now, but yeah, no, I didn't.
And,
I didn't
so
when I got thrown into this seat in April. No, I did not.
I started thinking about it, doing a little research. This problem we have goes back to Max Goldberg, I think. Max Goldberg would not spend a dime for anything. You know, then the building was falling down, the stoplights quit, he wouldn't spend a dime for it. And I'd say he's the first one to start taking money from the electric company and paying other bills. So here we are today, we owe the electric account $1 million. And no plans to pay it back that I know of. In fact, we can't even pay our other bills very much. We don't spend a dime on recreation. And the only money we spend on the street is what we get from the state, is that right?
Yeah, and as you can see now, we are trying to budget some general fund money into the street and roads. Yeah, but that is something that has not been budgeted for.
On that same line, I happened to, on my phone, I must have caught one of these streams where some of the politicians in Franklin were talking to the KLFC vice chairman, Mr. Klein was one of them. He was a very good speaker, and then I know the Crescent Springs manager was there. They were discussing problems the city had and all. And the guy from the KLC made a statement that the cities were getting shortchanged on the state gasoline tax. So now, how he just made that statement, how that's figured or not, so maybe we're not getting what we should from the state.
In the road aid part of things, is that what we're talking about? Like, I know they made a change this last year, I think, to how the cities are going about applying for the road aid fund compared to how it was done before, because the cities were getting shortchanged in how I think that calculation was done. And it was this last year that they changed that because we had to submit it completely different, and my understanding
This
is
is within the month. Now that could have been something that was way older than that.
yeah, I don't know. I know that they changed the process.
He did make that statement.
Something like that.
one of the consistent gripes that the League of City has on the way that the funding is allocated by percents. And that's certain percents to a city, to a county, to the state.
Yeah.
And the cities always get shortchanged because they have the smallest
Percentage.
despite often having the most used roads.
Well, maybe that's what he was talking about.
I would
think
think
that's- yeah.
I just heard that, but I was thinking, well, that's the only money we get for streets. My
It's not a
street,
lot.
the last time, as I say, I've been there 60 years. The last time it was blacktop when Mayor Flyhard was there, however many, that's 5 or 6 mayors back. But anyhow, I want to go back just a little bit. What Falmouth was in the 70s and 80s. I was in business here. Of course, there was a husband too. At that time, all the businesses in Falmouth were owned by people who lived in the city. We had 2 banks, 1 savings and loan. All the directors and the managers, they all lived in the city. Anything going on, you could get the banks to back you, and all the business was usually back you. And like way back then, we had a Tom Purdy and Harry Roberts. Every summer for 30 years, they took care of the kids having a place to play baseball, Little League. They took care of the grounds. They went around collecting money, and like Moreland Drug, we have a team. All we had to buy was a T-shirt with our name on the back. The kids bought their own
Rick
gloves
Wilson
and
talks
everything.
about this too. Yeah, yeah.
And so they did the umpiring even. They did the whole thing. And, you know, everybody was satisfied, but the kids got to play. Now we got a nice park out here. It's going to hell as far as I'm concerned. But then he had back in the 70s. It started, as I say, it was owned by local people. And then the first change was Woody Crum brought a franchise, Dairy Queen. He was a basketball coach up here from Harrison County. He brought the first franchise in, right, he was here, and didn't keep it long, and then Howard Hess bought it out. Of course, when he had the fire and burn out, he set it up as his own business. And then Ace Hardware was the second one. Bob Bay from Butler built the building, and then the fellow in there now bought the franchise, and he's been there ever since. So since that time, the whole 27, we got franchised. We got 4 banks that are not local banks. We got, well, I mean, you all know what we got, but not a damn one of them. And what we really lost, we lost the leadership in the community. None of those put anything into the community. They pay their bill, and to do business, they pay $50. Craig's competition, those 2 big stores, very smart. Very few towns, they put 2 big ones in the same town.
Oh, I know.
And what they did here, and those people, you know, they don't put them just willy-nilly. They do the studies, they know what they can make money at. So everything on 27 is pretty much owned by people out of the state, or not out of the county and out of the state even. And we charge them $50 a year to do business and take our money and go to hell elsewhere with it. So, what are we going to say here now? Now, the other businessmen in the 60s and 70s that were retired, a lot of them moved out. In recent memories, like Russ Conrad had hardware. He and his wife moved to Independence. And we've slowly been deteriorating since the 70s and 80s, really since Scholes left. It's been so gradual, we don't notice it. Like right now, the person up the street from me, been there for 40 years, has bought a house in Winchester, moving to Winchester. Tammy and Dean Ammerman, who own the tax place out here, they sold a place in the county, they bought a house in Alexander. So we're slowly, every year, we're losing people. Now I drove around the town the other day for an hour. and I tried to pretend that I'd never been here before, and I was looking for some place to move to. As I went to all the cities, I got done with it, I said, why in the hell would I want to move here? I mean, we're so far behind. We're trying to operate a city with 40 years ago income. We are, let's see here. On that same part, I wanted to get this. I think I gave you a copy, but here, I got 21 people that's like me that live in a house in Falmouth by themselves. And every one of them keeps their house nice. Every one of them, as far as I know, come down here every month and pay their utility bills and thank the clerk for taking the money. Well, the tax bill comes in, they come in the same way. You never see them in here complaining about anything. And they pay, their insurance tax is almost, my insurance tax is almost as much as my property tax. But we don't complain, and all these people think everything's being taken care of. You know, their lives go on, and while we're losing business and the money's going out, online shopping is killing us. And they have all those delivery trucks come in here every day. Kroger, he sees them, he gets a lump in his throat every time, I'm sure. And we don't get anything from them. They drive in here, they do whatever the hell they want, they deliver the goods, and we don't charge them nothing. And so, the only other 4 businesses downtown, you know, Randy's, Lemons, Kathy's, and the Outlook. Them's the only ones that's been there long term. Little story on Baston's. His granddaughter, this was his, what?
Taylor Platt?
Yeah. She's running, I won't say owns them, she's running that one, but she's got one in Wilder. She's been there 10, maybe 15 years. Now, up here, she pays $50 to do business, period. In Wilder, she's paying through the nose, I'm sure, for rent. She's not paying any property tax, but she's paying enough rent that it's paid plus. She's paying a payroll tax, she's paying a net profits tax, and they got a few other taxes probably to make. But she's still there, so as soon as she's making money, she wouldn't stay this long. So she's used to paying it down there, but you don't have to pay nothing here. And we're trying to get by on pocket change, and we're going broke as far as I'm concerned. And see where I want to go now. Oh, well, yeah. Just like if we start out, we talk about, well, and I think one thing, I think we need to put now's the time to do it. We need to put in a payroll tax or occupational tax before the county raises theirs. They're under stress right now for the building of the firehouse, and the sheriff's department wants more money. They're going to have to raise more money. They're either going to raise their payroll tax, or they're going to put in a net profit tax or something. So we should get in before that. Now, my thinking, if I was doing this, I'd put in a 1.5% payroll tax. I put in a maximum not the gross tax, but the net profits tax. And then right now we got 4 banks in the county or in the city. I don't even know if they paid the $50. I didn't see them on the list. But every other place, they're paying a deposit once a year. They pay a tax on their total deposits. And we don't charge them nothing. We're going to have to do so. And let's see what else do I have here. But the biggest thing is the outside county. I mean, it's killing us. I know it is. And worrying about downtown, let's forget about it. That's never gonna come back. But you just see that, well, another guy to the left, Don Wells retired, he's gone. Well, Robbie Best moved his office up to the Farm Road building, he got his building for sale. And next door, Barracks owned the building, well, the dentist built the building out on the highway to get away from any possibility of flood. So those buildings for sale. It's not gonna come back like it was when I was a teenager. When I was a teenager, Friday night, Saturday night, you couldn't walk the streets with so many people. But that was before television. And, that's what that's really stopped people from coming to town and socialize and all. It's done. Let's see. And the big thing is, all those outfits, banks and all, they don't care whether Falmouth survives or not. And where I bank, I used to be in the deposit bank over here. It was one of the locals. When they sold out, and then they sold out, well, I just followed. So I talked to the manager the other day. I said, you know, you and plus the other banks don't do a damn thing for the county. Oh, yeah, we do. We feed the needy downtown once a year. I said, big deal. But they don't, none of them, the employees, there's one girl in the bank lives in the county, the other two don't even live in the county. So we can start up here with Total Care. They're in 5 locations. Flemingsburg, they got 2 stores, they got payroll tax, they got all the taxes. Then he's also got 2 in Moorhead. They're paying, and this is going back 15, 20 years at least. Plus he's got two stores in Grant County, and then this one here. Now the pharmacist doesn't live in the city. I'm talking about employers now. Neither one of the pharmacists live in the city, and I know one of the girls who works in there lives in Mount Auburn. The dentist office, she lives in Grant County. 2 of her employees live in the county, I know. You come down to the auto store, that's another franchise, and I'm assuming that's a guy that's not from here. I don't know, I've never even been in that place. Then of course you got the dollar store over there. There is one girl in there I know, but I don't know where she lives. The body shop is owned by Miles. He lives in the county. Pete lives in the city. But you go up and down. Most of them don't even live in the city, the people that work there. So we put in a payroll tax. We say, oh, we hurt them. Well, if you live in Lexington, you pay 2.25%. And well, you work out of town, you do too. You pay 1% county tax. And I'm sure who you work for, you pay multiple taxes. And and that's another thing. 4,500 people leave the county every day to work elsewhere. We get about 200 maybe coming from Harrison County into here, and we get about 190 come from Bracken County. Now, you know, school teachers or whatever. Well, I'd say something like Carmove, the mine over on the river, it'd be some of them. But we got 4,500 who leave here every day. And I just, another one here, example. I don't know if I gave you one of these. Everybody gets this every once in a while.
Yeah.
The pizza place. He pays us $50 do business in the city. $50 do business. Now here's all these other locations in here. I looked every one of them up. Every one of them has an occupational tax from 1% to 2.25% of all those there. That's what they're paying in all the other towns. Insurance tax, and I thought 10% was the top. In a couple places they pay 12.5% license tax or on that. And then in the same counties, all of them have a payroll tax of from 0.75 up to 2%. So all those other piece of places are paying money to keep the community going where they're working at. We don't do anything. We just hand their money out and get a pizza and go home, and they take their money and go to Cincinnati or wherever. Well, I know Faulkner, he doesn't live in the city. Most of the business on the 27, those people don't live in the city. Anyway, and so, where am I going with this? Getting dry. Now, I was here last time, or when it was, when the guy was here about the electric. So I got all the information I could from you here, and I'll admit I read through it. I'm gonna have to do it again, because I couldn't understand much the first time going through that. And I thought, well, we don't have anybody that really knows anything about the electric business here. You're all brand new. I don't know if we got any employee that knows a whole lot about our electric grid and all that stuff. So I got to checking for towns around us of similar size that has electric, like us. Well, all of them have got an electric board. Now the electric board, or committee, is a group that is appointed by the council, mayor and council, and they take care of the electric. And you get 3 or 4 on there that become knowledgeable, and maybe they can stay on, 20 years. So they know what the hell's going on, who's paying their bills, how much it costs. And if they have something they want done, they make a report, I assume, and turn it into the council to be passed on or not passed on. Some cities have got their electric, their water, and their garbage, called the utility board. They take care of all that. When I say take care of it, they're responsible for that and to make reports, when needed, whatever. And I think something like that's needed, especially for electric. But then the other thing I thought that might be a worthwhile idea. Now, I assume everybody right now, somebody's on the electric board. Do we have committees?
Which electric? I'm on KYMEA's board.
Well, do we have electric, somebody's on
You
electric?
talking about committees within our own council here?
Yeah,
We have standing committees, but
you have a water committee and a police committee or fire committee. Well, my thought there, and this is to get some support from the community. If you could get an ad hoc citizen, upstanding citizen in the community that's well thought of, intelligent, to sign on and say, Amanda's on the water board, well, she would be on that, kind of the chairman, and maybe 2 other guys, not like you all. Well, maybe they could. All of you work, got families, all of, I guess, Miss Messmer's the only one not working as far as I know. But,
That's my sister.
huh?
That's my sister.
Oh.
Carson.
Cousin, okay. That's right. Lord, we're messing.
I know you do.
But, my thought there, if we could, I thought of 4 names, like I turned those 4 names. Well, you all would have to call, ask them, come in, interview them, see if they'd be interested in taking on that responsibility. But if you could find a couple for each, the sewerage, the fire department, the police department, I think you need some help on, and the electric. And then you would also be getting more people involved. You get more backing from the city, because hopefully you would get people that a lot of the other people know. So you'd have more people involved. It'd be that or a utility board that would you have. Like now, here's an example. Vansburg, up the river. 30 years ago, I remember seeing on TV, coming up the Ohio River on a big barge, was this great big silo, like thing. I mean, it was bigger than what the regular sidewall we had on the farm. And the story was Advanceburg was putting in a system that could produce their own electricity. Well, I read in the paper a few years after that, they had extra electricity and they wanted to sell to Ohio and they weren't allowed to. This past summer, 2 ladies from Vanceburg came to our historical society meeting, and we got to talking about bills and things, and the lady said, well, I own a mobile home in Vanceburg and my electric bill was $380. So those people have gotten stuck with that, trying to do something different, I guess. Now they've got just a electric board that takes care of that. So they're sitting there, they know what their cost is, they know what their interest payments are, and they're charging the people whatever they have to. Now, I didn't see her bill, you know, could have been for 2 months, but she said, well, it was $380. I took her to her word. And just like us, we pay $20 a year on our debt, which is $3 million approximately. Of that 20,000, I bet 3,000 of it doesn't go to the principal. It's all interest. So how in the hell long is it projected we're going to keep, you know, before that's ever paid off, that you can do anything else? And then we've had comments to fix our electric grid of borrowing another $8 million to fix it.
Well, what we're looking to fix is we don't own the transmission line. The transmission line is owned by LG&E. We don't actually own that line. We'd have to buy the line and then do the upgrade to the line, but we wouldn't be doing that with our own money. We're looking to get grant money for that, and so we're waiting for it's in the Homeland Security budget. There's a line item for the city of Falmouth to have $8 million for this transmission line feed, so that's what we're holding up on, is waiting to see. We had the funding the first time, and then it got pulled when they pulled the BERT grant, so that, I don't know how we ended up in the situation where we're cut off the transmission line, but that's where we're at, and we are looking at options down the road for electric.
It's just like this here. I said, I didn't understand the first time, I have to go through it again. Now, if we had a electric committee board.
See, I'm on their board.
Huh?
I'm on their board.
I saw your name in there.
You know, so every city has a representative on that board, and that board is what's helps us kind of oversee how we are doing our utilities and the different things with the electric, not the utilities.
Yeah,
just the
I mean,
electric.
the guy was here, he was a pretty smooth talker, but I couldn't hear him, so I don't know what he said.
Those are kind of the people that are helping us with our electric. Those are the professionals. So when you talk about having a board, that is, the electric kind of has a board somewhere.
Well, we know, before we make any change, we didn't make sure that is a change we should make.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they said in there, Olive Hill was the last city that signed up, and it's about 2/3 our size. And I had a friend there who's dead now, so I've been there many times. So I looked it up, and they had an electric board that handled their electric. So that group, I'm sure, researched, did whatever, and made the change. And they probably had been on it. I'd say the board had been there 8-10 years, maybe. I don't know. So there's another example here. I look, the city of Madisonville, which is another city in that group there. Of course, they're larger than us. But here's the thing I just got off the internet. They had a 1.5%, they had a 1% payroll tax, and they're raising it up 1.5%. That they had a breakdown how it's going to gradually be implemented. So all of these other cities have had it for years, and we just sat here and rot. And my other thought was, kind of got off track. Well, these are the towns that our size, or a lot smaller, that have electric boards or utility boards, like Barberville, Franklin, Kentucky, Fulton, Glasgow, Olive Hill, Princeton, Providence, Russellville, Vanceburg, and Williamstown. Those are all cities that are our size or smaller that operate that way. So I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel some way. I mean, we could go to any of these cities and get their ordinance, ask them what's good about it, because every town I've gone to and asked questions, they've all been very nice. They'll share our information, they'll give you their audit report. They do anything to help you, they'll do it. There's no problem. So another little thing I was going to say that there's like 370 cities in Kentucky. Now, 92 of those cities have net profits tax. Gross receipt tax is 35 cities. That doesn't sound right. I got something wrong there. There's supposed to be 170 cities have a profit tax, and only 35 have a gross receipt tax. But 187 cities have a deposit tax on the banks. That's 187 out of 370, but half of that 370 are towns of 1,000 or less also. So my thinking is, if not you all, then who? If not now, when? We can struggle through another term of office, get another group of council people, get another mayor. You're right back to square one, because they coming in, they don't know, did they squat, so they make some mistakes. And we've been doing that for 60 years that I've been here. I think it's time to make a change, bite the bullet. If you don't get the community backing, I guarantee you the county's gonna raise something, and I'll get everybody upset, and if we try to do it, even ones in town will be even more upset. Regardless, they're gonna be upset, but somebody's gonna have to do it, and the only people who can do it is you people. Thank you. And I think if I want to ask any questions, or I'm sorry to hear me talk.
It's a lot of information to take in. I think the council really needs to start exploring, because Paul said the same thing, we've got to start exploring our revenue options and how to increase those, and Mr. Moreland has given us several ideas to go look into on how we could go about doing it, so. Any other public comments? I have 0 announcements, so can you get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Everybody in favor?
Yeah.